Hi Doug, really great to meet you. I'm up again on Wednesday and do some work on your game. Main issue we were having, as I'm sure you remember, was not so much with the irons, although as we were warming up, did see a couple of little issues. Quite clean shots, like no real downward strike into the ball. And although you could use that with the irons, we quickly saw how the swing was affecting the longer shots, so the 3 and 5 wood and the hybrid, etc. And the reason why that's happening is, what I've done is I've just put a couple of lines, well, I've put a line, should I say, next to your head on before and after. And I've used Sergio Garcia as a really good example for you to sort of follow. And if we just swing back here, let's get to the top of your backswing. You can see there is a bit of movement off the ball, which I would like to see stabilised. I'd like to see you stay over the top of the ball all the way through. And then what happens from here is, instead of the weight going back towards your left hand side, it pretty much stays where it is, and then from this point here you can see it's already pushing up out of the ground, which is then transferring your weight up and backwards. So you can see the head's really going away from the target. And in this case, we actually top this one, which is obviously not your best. And the reason for that basically is what we also discussed later on during the session was, as you start down, to stop yourself from just digging the club into the floor, obviously because your weight's going backwards, that's quite likely to happen. The elbows separate, and you then bring the club away from the ground, trying to get a clean strike. And what happens is you pull the club too far away from the ground and you hit a lot of thin shots. I mean, it's difficult to tell with this, obviously it was quite bad light last night. You can see here there's quite a big sort of gap between your elbows, and that brings the club away from the ground. So what we had you doing to start off with was we sort of gave you a Garcia feel. So as you get to the top of the backswing here, you can see there for a start the weight hasn't moved, so I would like to get you more into that position. And then as he starts down, the weight doesn't really transfer back. It might do a touch, it's more to do with the rotation of his hat more than anything. You can actually see there, I know it's not the best quality video this one, but you can just see the slight divot afterwards, so you can really tell that he's striking down into the ground. You can see a very little gap between his elbows. That means his arms are staying straight, they're extending, allowing the club to get back to the ball properly. Now if we just take this one here, just want to show you that the weight transfers backwards, or the upper centre does anyway, so that point between your sternum, it relates quite well to where the low point of your golf swing is. And this is actually a slightly better backswing as well. I think this is you just really trying to make sure you hit down on it, and then as you start down here you can see the head doesn't go backwards. This one again we still catch a bit thin, but you can see here the lower body's working forward more, so you've still got some tilt to your spine, which is a good thing because it means that the lower bodies work forward. Just draw this line here, pretty much on top of the ball. Again, elbows separating slightly, just because that's how you've normally been able to try and get club on ball. So not pulling up out of the ground as much, or as early should I say. Just need to try and get the club down to the ground a bit better. And you can see there two massive differences with the upper body and the positions that they're in. One of the just small thing as well that we just added in at the start was, if we just have a look at the handle position here before we swing back, you can see here we've got quite a lot of shaft lean with 5 wood, so we're trying to get the butt end of the club to be more in line with the groin. Also, you can't quite see it from this angle, but we wanted you to get the shaft lower, so it pointed more at your belt buckle rather than up at your stomach, up at your belly button type of thing. And this, for one, allows you to just get a little bit more loft on it. Because if you can see this one here, even with a good strike, there was so little loft on it that you just hit it a couple of feet off the ground. Really struggled to try and get some height on it. Probably explains why you try to lift it as well, because if you have literally no loft on the club, the only way you can try and get some height on it is to try and lift it. So leaning back and really trying to pick it up clean, really trying to add some loft to it through impact. So between now and the next time I see you, obviously working on the handle position at setup, so slightly further back and a little more down. And the actual thought was for you to try and feel like you're going to actually try and hit it a couple of feet off the ground. It allows you to get your weight forward a bit more, should allow you to get that better strike, and obviously keeping the loft on the club at setup should allow you to still get some decent height as well. So good luck with it. If any questions, give me a shout. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.